last night I gave up on Game 1 of the WNBA Finals between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty because the Lynx had been sort of fighting back the whole game, sort of creeping up and then falling behind, creeping up and then falling behind. And then with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they're down 12. And I'm like, you know what? This is it. I love Nafisa Collier, but she is not going to be able to make this comeback happen all by herself. I'm going to shut this thing down and go to bed.
That's the worst.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And then this morning, it's not until I get to the Brightline station and I'm looking up and I see SportsCenter showing highlights of past WNBA Finals game winners. And I'm like, well, that's irrelevant. Did they just get bored with this blowout and started showing previous good games? And then I realized that the Lynx came all the way back, including a 4-point play to get them to that place, to get them to overtime, and then won it in overtime against the super team Liberty that's ready to win this thing. And I was so ticked off.
So once you see them going with historic game winners, you start realizing I missed something last night.
Immediately.
I actually happened to be walking my dog at that point in the game, and I was watching it on my phone.
You were awake?
I was awake. Wow. I stayed up for it. And you're right. There was like, you take the dog out and you're like, should I even bother putting it on my phone? Like, this game feels like it's over. But I did. And this guy walks past me. He's like, what's the score? And I was like, the Lynx are up right now, 84-83, but Breanna Stewart's shooting free throws. And we stood there on the corner and just watched the last, 2 seconds of regulation. And
she choked.
She missed her second free throw, and then it went to overtime. It was, man, she wants to win a championship with New York so bad.
Yeah, too
and
bad.
She looked so pissed after that.
I don't even know if it's just that. I think they should have run away with this thing. They should have kept giving Jonquel Jones the ball, finding a way to keep her in the paint because she was absolutely dominant. And instead, you got Breanna Stewart constantly going up against the WNBA Defensive Player of the Year and taking bad shots. And that's how Minnesota stayed in the game. It was just bad decisions, in my opinion, from the Liberty.
And also just really good defense from the Lynx. I think they forced them to take bad shots. And they also forced them, earlier in the game, the Liberty were doing a really good job of extending their offensive possessions by getting big offensive rebounds and staying on offense. But then as the Lynx were able to start, cutting away the lead and also honing in on defense, it really changed the game. And so the Lynx were able to get into their groove, which is the quick offensive transition game that, Nafisa Collier is a great defensive player, but also she does everything. Her footwork is amazing in the paint. She's very quick. She's everywhere on the court at once. And once she was able to find her groove, Courtney Williams hit some huge 3-pointers. She had that 4-point play you're talking about. That sort of that was the game right there, even though there ended up being 5 minutes more after that. And I thought the Lynx defense was huge in the second half, and ultimately is what forced Liberty to not really shoot well at all in the rest of the game. I think they were only 43% from the field last night, which is not good. The Lynx shot a lot better, even though when the game started, it didn't look like they were going to get as many shots.
I think it's amazing how great this game was, but I think it's even more amazing that the first thing Stu Gott said about the WNBA that wasn't about Caitlin Clark this year was Stewart choked.
Well, she did. You have what you want, right? If you're the Liberty, you have the best player in the WNBA, the best player on your team, on the foul line with a chance to win the game, and she misses it.
You're in your pocket here, man.
That's a choke job. Thank you.
There was a play where I was convinced that she was just out of it. She drove after a closeout, and there was a cutter on the baseline. It wasn't Jones. I think it was another big off the bench, just cutting wide open baseline. And her face is staring right at her, but she pitches it out to a 3-pointer, and that one missed. And I was like, Stewie looks like she's, like you said, trying to do too much. I thought, man, it was interesting because the Liberty, basically their game plan was just offensive rebound the heck out of the ball and get more shots. They had almost, I think, 19 more shots and still found a way to lose that game.
I would say, I would one-up you, Stu Gotts. I wouldn't say Stewie choked. I would say the entire team choked.
Ooh. All right.
Everyone choked.
Wow, I like it.
Choked. They had
You've upped the ante. Yes.
They all choked. They had an 18-point lead in game one at home. The Liberty have one of the best home courts in the WNBA. They had 18,000 fans there last night.
Jason Sudeikis was there.
And thank you for bringing up Jason Sudeikis because enough of him, okay?
Whoa.
Enough
Wow.
of Jason Sudeikis.
Stu Gotts, go!